Welcome to Hart Park here in Wauwatosa, Wisconsin for the first ever international club friendly as this pitch sees FC Milwaukee Torrent host the University of Manitoba. I'm Simon Provan, and on behalf of everyone here at FC Milwaukee Torrent, welcome to today's live stream here on 11 Sports. So let's give you a little background on both teams today. Well, FC Milwaukee Torrent, they grabbed their first trophy ever in their history after topping the table of the Lake Michigan Division in the Women's Premier Soccer League. They did lose in the Midwest Conference Final to a very strong Kansas City Current 2. That is the reserve team of the NWSL squad. That game a 7-0 loss. But nevertheless, 2022 was easily the best season FC Milwaukee Torrent women have ever had. They had one loss on the season. That was in an away match to crosstown rival Bavarian United SC, but they would go on to win 7 games in the regular season, and that included an undefeated season at home and an impressive plus 16 goal difference, 20 goals for and only 4 goals against. Of course, that defense led by the all-star goalkeeper, Mickey Easter. She is not here today. Well, she is here today, but she will not be starting. And, of course, we'll get to those starters a little bit later on. Now, the opponent today, University of Manitoba. The Bisons, a member of U Sports, which is basically the equivalent of the NCAA Division I level here in the United States. They play in the Canada West Universities Athletic Association, which, again, making it an equivalent to the United States, is basically their conference. Now, Manitoba finished 3rd out of the 4-team East Division. However, don't let that 3rd place finish fool you. The Bisons had a winning season in 2021, finishing with 6 wins, 4 losses, and 2 draws. And, like the Torrent, they had 20 goals on their season with 14 against, so they ended their year with a plus 6 in goal difference. Now, as we look at this pregame breakdown, the simple question I have is, who knows what it's going to look like out there? Both clubs coming at this from completely different perspectives today. FC Milwaukee Torrent, well, this is basically a celebration for them of the great year that they had. A little bit different for them, though, is as head coach Andy Davie is out of town, the FC Milwaukee Torrent men's coach Steve Provan will be taking over head coach responsibilities for the women today. And as you might consider him in England, he will be the caretaker manager for the 90 minutes today. Provan led the men to a 4-0 victory in last night's NISA Independent Cup match over Lansing Common FC. So personally for him, he would love to finish his year with back-to-back wins on back-to-back days. Now for the players, as I said, this will be a chance for them to celebrate their division-winning season. But the question is, will they come out and treat this friendly more like a scrimmage, where perhaps they play with some caution? As many of them are still preparing for their Division I seasons, and a couple of Division III players as well getting ready for their college season, so they're going to want to be cautious that they don't get injured. At the same time, are they going to be excited to come out and play this as if it's a regular season game? So we'll see what that looks like for FC Milwaukee Torrent. On the other side, looking at the University of Manitoba, well, for the Bisons, this is a 2-game series for them in Milwaukee. Of course, they're playing FC Milwaukee Torrent today, but then tomorrow they're going to be playing against a collective team known as the Milwaukee All-Stars, which I assume that's going to be a lot of players from the Torrent, as well as a lot of players, as I mentioned earlier, their crosstown rival, Bavarian United. So I expect to see a lot of Marquette, UW-Milwaukee players in that All-Star team. I'm not privy to that roster, mind you, so just making a guess here. At the same time, I talked about they have 2 games themselves, the Bison, today and then tomorrow. So we will see what head coach Vanessa Martinez-Lagunas will do as far as any type of rotation with the squad. But I do expect her to use the unlimited substitution rule today to her advantage. So I do imagine we'll see players out there for the Bison, and this is where things are different for the Bison versus the Torrent, that they're looking for a place on this team either as a place period, or perhaps as a starter for their upcoming fall season. So I expect that we'll see some players playing with heightened purpose versus their Torrent counterparts. And again, just like the Torrent, however, no one is out here wanting to get injured today. So the question is, just how intense will the Bison play in today's game? Well, ultimately, we'll get those answers over the next 90 minutes or so here at Hart Park. Let's go ahead and turn our attention to the field as Manitoba has their brown jerseys on. I believe the Torrent will be playing in their blue, although we were surprised last night as the men came out in their away kits. We shall see, although I'm getting confirmation already that, yes, the Torrent women will be in the blues. I'll take a break here. As I said, we're going to turn our attention to the starting 11 walking out. Torrent, by the way, with 3 subs on the bench, a very limited roster, as many of these players have already either returned to college or getting that, for us here in Wisconsin, can be that last gasp of summer heading out on vacations. But a very exciting day. Again, the first ever club international friendly here at Hart Park. We'll turn our attention soon to Dan Pfeiffer as he will announce the starting 11, play the national anthems of the countries for both squads, and then I will be back on the air myself after all of that is said and done.
Here are today's first 11s, beginning with the away side, the Manitoba Bisons. Number 28, Jessica Tsai. Number 1, Karina Baji. Number 3, Bianca Bucci. Number 5, Chloe Morin. Number 12, Mackie Birdney. Number 18, Brianna Johnston. Number 21, Bianca Cavalcanti. Number 22, Shannon Lee. Number 26, Ava Memka. Number 27, Rebecca Waterman. And number 33, Jenna Kunkel. The Manitoba Bisons are managed by Vanessa Martinez Lagunas. And now, let's meet the first 11 for your FC Milwaukee Torrent. Number 31, Kelly Swenson. Quinlan Warren. Number Number 3, Tyler Wilson. Number 4, Jordan Raleigh. Number 5, Senya Moyer. Number 13, Bonnie Lacey. Number 16, Katie Swenson. Number 19, Alexa Miletus. Number 22, Maddie Soleric. Number 23, Elsie Twombly. And number 24, Haley Johnson. That caretaker manager for FC Milwaukee Torrent today is Steve Provan. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. As part of today's international friendly, we now wish to acknowledge our neighbors and allies to the north with the playing of the Canadian national anthem, O Canada. At the conclusion of O Canada, we ask you to remain silent and standing as we honor America and all that it stands for, as well as our freedom and those who serve to protect it, with the playing of the Star-Spangled Banner.
Well, national anthems have been played. Starting 11s have been announced. And we are ready for our first club international friendly here at Hart Park in Wauwatosa. Just under 70 degrees today. A perfect day for some great Midwest weather soccer. Again, Torrent women in their favored blues. Manitoba in their brown and beige uniforms. Got quite a good representation of players from Canada, from the U.S., obviously, but also got some players from around the world. Taking a look at the Manitoba roster here, we've got players from Russia and Brazil. Number 21, Bianca Cavalcanti is a Brazilian now playing, obviously, college ball in Canada. And Daria Reimer, not sure if we'll see her today. She's listed as a goalkeeper. But she comes to Manitoba from Russia. So some international flair, not just between Canada and the U.S. today, but other parts of the world being represented. As we said, a trimmed-down roster for FC Milwaukee Torrent. Though they do have their powerhouse trio with Haley Johnson, Jordan Rowley, and Elsie Twombly. Those three responsible for most of the goals during the regular season for FC Milwaukee Torrent. You heard the starting 11 by our PA announcer, Dan Pfeiffer. For the Torrent, they are joined by three more players on the bench. Mickey Easter, Ryan LeConte, and Caitlin Owens. We'll see if Mickey sees any time in goal today. And Quinlan Warren is your starting goalkeeper for the Torrent. She did see plenty of time last season, but then when Mickey Easter came in, that really wonderful goalkeeper for Marquette University, Easter quickly won the starting role. But good to see Warren back between the pipes today. And Easter's actually sitting on the sideline in blues, so maybe we'll see her with some field time today. Why not in this club international friendly that is officially underway as Jordan Rowley gets the first touch of the game. Again, head coach Andy Davi not here today. So again, this is really a day of celebration for the Torrent in their first international friendly that they've ever played in. Now, I'm sure that several of these players have played in some international friendlies with their college teams. In fact, Kelly Swenson, the Torrent captain, played a season professionally over in Sweden. So she actually has experience across the pond, as they say. Manitoba with a number of underclassmen today. Now in Canada, they refer to their years as 1, 2, 3, 4. But of course, the equivalent in the States, which is what I will use today, is freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior. There is a player or two on Manitoba that actually is in their 5th year in college, but their senior year of eligibility for the Canadian U Sports. Manitoba, a member of the Canada West Athletic Association, essentially their conference. Throwing for the Torrent. Solaric on the throw-in. Plays this to Twombly. Back to Solaric. Moyer in the middle of the field. Had the ball briefly. Very strong season for her. Redshirt freshman over at UW Milwaukee. This ball played to Jordan Rowley. And eventually goes out of bounds for another Milwaukee Torrent throw-in. Katie Swenson with the throw-in. If this is the first time you're tuning into an FC Milwaukee Torrent women's game, you should know that Katie is the younger sister of Kelly. Kelly, a graduate of UW Milwaukee. Katie currently attending UW Whitewater, Division III school in central Wisconsin. Very strong freshman year for her as she started all 19 games for the Warhawks, putting up 2 assists and coming to UW Whitewater from Tosa East High School. Foul called against Kelly Swenson. Going down was number 21, Bianca Cavalcanti. Cavalcanti. Early on in the game here in the 4th minute, score is 0-0. in this international friendly between the University of Manitoba Bisons and FC Milwaukee Torrent. Shot on goal. In the end, no trouble at all for Quinlan Warren as she easily grabs that out of the air, quickly delivers it to Solaric. Kunkel misjudging that ball, falling over. Possession remains with the Torrent. If you're hearing the drums through my microphone, that is the Flood supporter section of FC Milwaukee Torrent. Bonnie Lacey gets past one player, bringing the ball downfield. Looks up for options, doesn't find any. Tries to send it forward. Instead, blocked by Manitoba, but once again, Torrent in possession. Nice ball played up. Jordan Rowley, can she get a touch on it? Eventually does win the ball. No, she does not. Ball played in the middle of the field. Moyer bringing this ball to the near side, trying to get past number 33, Jenna Kunkel. Kunkel steps in, sends the ball over the touchline, throwing once again for FC Milwaukee Torrent. Maddie Solaric with the throw-in. Plays her college ball at University of Northern Iowa, where number 4, Jordan Rowley, graduated from. Swenson plays this across to Lacey. Lacey, one of the many Marquette players on this Torrent team. Good mix of players from Marquette University and University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, and a few others scattered in there. Ryan Locante on the bench today plays in Muncie, Indiana at Ball State University. Birdney plays this up to Cavalcante. That is a goal from outside the box. 6th minute officially of play, just before the clock ticks over to the 7th minute. Cavalcante with a wonderful shot from about 20 yards out, just getting that over the hands of an outstretched Quinlan Warren. The assist coming from Birdney. Almost a surprise shot there as Cavalcante looked as if almost she was going to trip, but got just enough of that ball, stabbed at it with her toe, did just enough to send that over Quinlan Warren, giving a bit of a surprise lead to the Bisons. Well, we'll see if the Torrent can regroup. You certainly don't expect as strong of a back line when you're looking at Lacey, Swenson. I should say the Swensons. Those 3 backs have been so strong all year, they usually don't get caught making mistakes like that, but beat twice on the ball, and Manitoba made the Torrent pay for those mistakes. Well, the Torrent have been down before. In fact, they were down 1-0 for their second game of the year. That would be against the Muskrats, in which the Muskrats, not one of the better teams in the WPSL, but the Torrent certainly struggled in that game mightily. Finally equalized late in the game and ended up winning in stoppage time, 2-1. You certainly hope you see the W for the Torrent today, but you hope it doesn't take 91, 92, 93 minutes to do so. Bianca Bucci in the box, goes to ground. Looks like she's still in some pain, but screaming for a penalty call. Not given. Play continues. Ball goes out of bounds. Torrent with their backs to the wall early on here. Manitoba finding another level after getting that 6th-minute goal. Again, Cavalcante from about 20 yards out. A nice poke of the ball to just give it enough loft as Quinlan Warren was off her line. But it certainly didn't look like any of the Torrent players were expecting that shot from Cavalcante. One of the best skills you can have as a team is to pull those elements of surprise. Certainly has paid off for the Bisons here early in the first half. Goal definitely came against the run of play as the Torrent were dominating in their final attacking third. And Manitoba really, with their first opportunity on goal, converted that chance. Moyer wins this ball in midfield. Looks to send this up to Wilson. Wilson, one of those few players not from Marquette or UWM, plays Division III ball at Washington University in St. Louis, Missouri. Again, she did not see a lot of time with the Torrent this year, so good to see her out there starting this match as a freshman at Washington U. She had 16 games total, 10 as a starter, had 5 goals on the season. She was also a member of the 2020 Region 2 team for the Olympic Development Program and was a 2-time All-State player at Middleton High School. Cervante reading that play well, plays it up to Raleigh. She's got Twombly if she can use her, tries to put it across, not able to do so as Shannon Lee steps in for the Bisons. In the end, wouldn't matter as Raleigh was called offside on that play. Baji sends this ball over midfield. Cavalcante, your goal scorer, tries to play this ball up. Instead goes right to Maddie Solaric. Solaric trying to play this up to Twombly, not able to get there. But ball comes right back to Solaric. Heads it forward. Jordan Rowley wins it momentarily, plays it back to Solaric. Solaric trying to pull that ball back. Very busy on this near side is Maddie Solaric. Tackle deemed clean by the center referee. Now ball played all the way back to Baji from Waterman. Waterman playing this out to Lee. Memka back to Lee. Lee looks to send that forward. Instead, Katie Swenson gets in the way of that ball. But back in possession momentarily for the Bisons. Katie Swenson now on the ball. Kelly Swenson, my apologies, to her sister Katie. Tyler Wilson gets this on the near side to Solaric. Plays this in the middle to Twombly. Twombly winning the ball back. Raleigh not sure if she was offside or not, so she did not move forward. But Solaric applying pressure. Still applying pressure as Baji has the ball at her feet. And now Solaric releases. And Manitoba looks to push forward once again. Johnston on the ball for the Bisons, but ball did go over the touchline. Throwing again for Milwaukee. Raleigh with an errant touch in frustration slams the ball into the bench. Well, the Torrent know that they are better than this, but they are struggling out there. I'm sure attitude-wise it can be a little tough to come into this friendly. You lost your conference championship game after a really strong season. And it's been a couple of weeks since you played your last game. We are seeing just a little bit of that rust for the Torrent today. But the attitude of what you're playing for can really affect what the field looks like for you. Warren with a nice grab out of the air off of that corner kick. And again, Bisons, they're preparing for their fall season. You got a lot of freshmen out there, a lot of sophomores out there who are looking for a starting position on the team. Haley Johnson, too heavy of a touch, but does force that ball out of bounds from the Manitoba player. Quick throw-in to Jordan Raleigh. Raleigh in the box. Tries to turn, not able to do so. Baji not able to save that from going over the Manitoba end line. That'll be a corner kick for Milwaukee. Alexa Miletus on corner kick duties for the Torrent. Miletus sends this ball in. Over everybody. Header from Raleigh. Ball still bouncing around. Twombly now with a shot. Bisons do well to clear it in the end. And a foul called against Wilson in favor of Cavalcanti, your lone goal scorer in the 6th minute of play. As things stand, in the 15th minute of play, 16th minute, Manitoba up 1-0. Vanessa Martinez Lagunas, the head coach for the Bisons, in her 10th season with Manitoba, wanting her players just to calm down, take a break. This ball sent out of bounds in favor of the Torrent. Katie Swenson with the throw-in. A lot of time being spent here by both teams on this near side. Mentioned it earlier, head coach of the Torrent women, Andy Davi, also the owner of the club, not able to be at today's game as he is out of town. So men's head coach Steve Perlvan taking over for Davi today. No substitutes as of yet for either side. Of course, Torrent don't have too many options today, as they have 3 players on the bench, one of them being Mickey Easter, your standout goalkeeper during the WPSL season. Baji on the ball for Manitoba. Twombly able to get in there. Raleigh with the shot, but Baji able to get to the ground. I'm sure Joe Raleigh would want that one back, but Baji not expecting that pressure from Twombly, who seemed to come out of nowhere. Best opportunity thus far for Milwaukee. Bonnie Lacey, right back for Milwaukee on the ball. Plays it to the far side. Raleigh to Twombly. Solaric wide open on the far side. Shot by Twombly, bobbled, ball played back in the middle. But in the end, nothing happening for the Torrent. But this looks better from Milwaukee. A little more purposeful with their attack. Manitoba quickly getting organized now in the back, trying to get all 4 players, all 4 defensive players. with some midfielders pulling in as well to assist in their defensive third. Tyler Wilson showing some skill as to why she was on that Region 2 team. Memka looks to send this one up, but goes out of bounds in favor of the Torrent. Well, yesterday, for last night's NISA Independent Cup match with the men's side, it was a very fast surface with the rain. Today it's dried out a bit. Ball playing a little bit slower, but nevertheless, it always plays a bit faster than you're expecting. And even with the years that the Torrent have played here, it seems like every year they have to readjust to the speed of the surface. Throw in by Swenson. Bison's certainly showing they like to play the ball out of the back, not afraid to play it back to their goalkeeper and reset their plays. This ball in favor of Raleigh, possibly. Not able to get to it, but played out of bounds. That was Sy kicking that ball out. Playing it to safety, but can the Torrent take advantage of this throw-in down in their attacking third? Johnson with a touch from her head, able to win that ball back. High pressure from Birdney on Swenson, who plays this ball across to Bonnie Lacey. Ball played up to Miletus. Certainly looked to be onside when that ball was played. Instead, ruled offside. As the far side AR waiting to see if Miletus was going to touch that ball, and once she did, lifted his flag for offside. Manitoba on the attack once again. Bucci on the far side looks to send this ball inside. Touched by Katie Swenson. Ball still up in the air in the box. Bonnie Lacey eventually heads it out for a Bison corner kick. Well, as this game has continued on, more and more fans have entered Hart Park here in Wauwatosa, Wisconsin. If you're just tuning in or you've been watching since the first minute of play, thanks for joining us here on this live stream. I'm Simon Provan, and on behalf of everybody at FC Milwaukee Torrent, we certainly enjoy having you along for this match. Ball sent in low and hard, bounces off the post. Goal kick for FC Milwaukee Torrent. And it does look like we will have our first substitution. The name on the back says Balsaric, but that is not Kenzie Balsaric. That is Mickey Easter. Usual starting goalkeeper for FC Milwaukee Torrent, coming in for Jordan Raleigh. So Easter will see some time up at that forward position. Let's see if she can get her inaugural Torrent goal. So that substitution coming here in the 23rd minute of play. Score remains 1-0. In favor of the Bisons, thanks to a 6th-minute goal by Bianca Cavalcante with an assist from Mackie Birdney. Haley Johnson plays this out to Lacey. Johnson on the ball, far side. Not being provided any support. All Johnson can do is play that ball a bit forward into some open space. And Obviously, Bisons momentarily had possession of the ball. Solaric, we've seen her fighting on this near side. Now in the middle of the field, nice ball to Miletus. Miletus in the box, sliding shot, fingertip save by Baji, keeping that out of the Bisons' net, but a corner kick is the result for FC Milwaukee Torrent. A great run by Miletus. Very similar in how Cavalante scored her goal, sliding down, getting a touch on that ball. Only difference was she was able to chip that over Quinlan Warren, whereas this ball was on the ground, but played in now. Twombly with a touch of the head, not strong enough, as that goes out for a Bison's goal kick. Well, Bison playing in the Canada West Athletic Association, which is basically their conference that they play in. Interesting looking at Canada West. They used to be a conference that had a straight table, meaning no divisions. That was all the way up until 2017. Then in 2018, they started to use divisions in the conference. And since 2018, they have made several changes to those conferences. In 2022, Manitoba will be playing in the newly named Prairie Division, where it'll face off against 7 other schools. Now, last year, as I had mentioned in the pregame, they were in, I believe it was the East Division that only had 3 other teams in it. Teams in Canada West tend to play home and away series with each other. And as Bonnie Lacey comes off to take a break, the standout Marquette defender in her place is Caitlin Owens. And as Bonnie Lacey came on and Owens came off, you perhaps heard a nice cheer from the crowd. So despite the scoreline with the Torrent being down 1-0, there is still an atmosphere of celebration in the air, celebrating a team who won their first title this year, the Great Lakes Division of the Midwest Conference and the WPSL. This ball now to Twombly. Twombly with a touch. As that ball just rolls over the end line, Baji having a great game in goal. Senior player for the Bisons. Actually in her 5th year of study at the school, but her 4th year of eligibility with the Bisons. Out of British Columbia is Baji. 6-foot goalkeeper, using all of her frame to put some pressure in front of Twombly on that last opportunity. Torrent continue to press here in the 27th, almost 28th minute of play. Score remains in favor of the Bisons, 1-0. Ball played back to Owens. Came on the field just 2 minutes ago. Mickey Easter. Rough tackle there from the Torrent player. That was Moyer. Taking out Eva Memka, freshman for the Bisons, in the process. Bit of a rougher tackle than you would expect in a friendly like this. But you're going to have different levels of ambition from every different player out there today. But again, with so many of these players preparing for their college season, obviously all of Manitoba and the majority of the Torrent players, you don't want to see anybody walk off this pitch today with any type of serious injury, or any injury for that matter. Memka looking to play this over. Swenson does get it to the goal scorer. Cavalcanti looks for another shot, but sends that one far over the crossbar. Goal kick for Milwaukee. Cavalcanti, an engineering major in her sophomore year, or if we were to use the Canadian terms, in her second year at University of Manitoba. And 29 minutes into this game, we have our first Hart Park train running on through. One of the special features here at Hart Park. In some ways, similar to the scenes that you would see at a Detroit City FC match, as they've got a train running just alongside their stadium as well. Another shot on goal, well over. No trouble there for the Torrent, as Jessica Sy was looking to double the Bison score, but no threat when all is said and done. Again, a decent-sized crowd here, probably about 100 people for this club international friendly. And when you consider it's a noon game on a Saturday, not expecting too many people here, but getting in those triple digits is always a good feeling. So we thank you for the supporters who are here live in attendance. And, of course, we also thank you for joining us on this live stream on 11sports.com. Torrent having some good spells of possession today, but nothing coming in the end for them. Mickey Easter, perhaps with her goalkeeping skills, read perfectly what Baji was going to do there, and now Mickey Easter sends this in the box. Ball is still loose. Twombly on it, plays this out to Solaric. Solaric on the ball, looks to play it back to the middle. Baji punches the ball out, but only so far as Wilson. Wilson looking to send this ball back in. Moyer with a touch. Solaric back to Moyer. Moyer runs into a wall of Bison players, and that ball just sent downfield, played to safety. Quinlan Warren getting possession, playing it to Katie Swenson, who plays this out to Owens. Owens to Miletus, to Johnson. And Bison once again in possession. My apologies, that is not. Or I should say that was Locante substitution that we did miss. Thanks to Kevin O'Connor for bringing that to my attention. I know Kevin's always happy to correct me on anything he can. Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate that. Mickey Easter showing some speed on this near side. Waterman does beat her to the ball, but Easter forces Waterman to send that out of bounds for a Torrent throw-in. Yes, Miletus taking a break on the Torrent bench as Locante is now on the right wing. Memka getting the better of Easter on that play. Katie Swenson, bit of a foot race there with Birdney, while Swenson initially wins the ball. As she tries to pull it back, it goes over the touchline for a Manitoba throw-in. If you're just joining us, Milwaukee Torrent in blue, Manitoba in brown. Score is 1-0 here at Hart Park in Wauwatosa, Wisconsin. In the 33rd minute of play, Caitlin Owens playing this up to Johnson. Johnson with a few touches on the ball, but not being utilized as she usually was during the regular season. Perhaps she will force her will into this game, and just as I say, that ball ends up back at Johnson's feet. Looks to play this to Moyer, some miscommunication between those two players as that ball is intercepted. Speaking of Moyer, she intercepts the ball herself, tries to make a move. Some errant passing by the Torrent. They will have to be careful. Cavalcanti has shown her skill not just on the goal she scored, but throughout this match. Don't want to give her any free opportunities at the Torrent goal. Solaric pulls this ball in the middle, plays it out to Easter. Easter in the box. Easter with a shot, bounces off the post, then off the back, but in the end, Easter was deemed to be offside anyways. Boy, that would be something to see your starting goalkeeper get the equalizer in this game. I'll tell you what, with the way Easter has been playing, wearing number 21, she very well may be the one to save this for the Torrent here in the first half. Manitoba getting ready for a substitution, as it looks like Isabella Toscona will be entering the game. In the meantime, Toscona watching on the sidelines for another opportunity here for the Bisons. Shot! And my, oh my, Torrent down 2-0 in the 35th minute. Bianca Bucci with the second goal of the game. Very well placed. Far side of Quinlan Warren. Great ball played from the midfield. Bianca takes a couple of touches and then with her left foot puts it to the far post. I think Quinlan Warren may want to have that one back, to be honest with you. I believe that was Mackie Birdney once again with the assist. Birdney just feeding her offensive players with some really magical touches out there. So that 35th minute goal again by Bianca Bucci. Both goals for the Bisons coming against the run of play. Tyler Wilson plays this up to Easter. Easter in the box once again. This time she is onside. Plays it back to Solaric. Solaric plays this to Wilson. Wilson finding her place to get to in order to receive some passes, but struggling a bit when she does get that ball. Well, if you're keeping track today, both Biancas for the Bisons have goals. So apparently if you are named Bianca, you got a good chance at scoring today. Sounds like one of those stats they make up, in like the NBA or something, that when it's 73 degrees and 19,203 people, he's the first player to ever score in that situation. You know, if your name's Bianca, you get to score at the Hart Park. I was trying to go somewhere with that, Kevin. It really didn't work. My apologies. Couple of substitutions for the Torrent. Bonnie Lacey back in the game. Katie Swenson taking a break, as well as Maddie Solaric. Miletus also making her way back into the game off of that substitution. Well, there was only one game this year in which the Torrent were down 2-0. That was against the Chicago Dutch Lions. Very similar to this game where the Torrent had most of the run of play, but the Dutch Lions able to find some counterattacking goals. went into the locker room 2-0. In the second half, however, the Torrent came out alive, found 3 goals, and ended up winning that game 3-2. Game is still manageable, but Torrent definitely don't want to let in a third goal in this first half. That would be unprecedented for them this season. Ball played across. Twombly. Mickey Easter on the ball in the box, takes a right-footed shot just wide of the goal. Goal kick for the Bisons. Now, of course, a little bit of experimentation today as Mickey Easter is the starting goalkeeper for Milwaukee. But obviously before the game, Coach Davi and Coach Provan talked, allowing Easter to get some on-field time out there today. I should say outfield time rather than being in the goal. Miletus looking to play this to Easter after a wonderful touch from Twombly beforehand. Haley Johnson out to Owens. Owens gets past one player, can't get past the second. Manitoba doing really well today with their pressure, not giving the Torrent much time on the ball. Quinlan Warren mistouches that. And that is a third goal, just as I had got done saying. You cannot let in a third goal. Quinlan Warren obviously very disappointed with herself on that one. Mackie Birdney had an assist on the first goal, and now in the 41st minute, wins the ball off of Quinlan Warren and puts the ball away for the Bisons' third goal today. Well, Mackie Birdney getting on the stat sheet in 2 places. One with an assist in the 6th minute, and now a goal in the 41st. Midfielder in her 4th year. Actually, in her 5th year of study, but her 4th year of play for the Bisons. Nice. Oh. Just wide of the goal. Torrent looking for at least one goal before this half is over. The nice touch by Twombly, but Baji getting herself in a perfect position, making sure that Twombly was not able to get that shot on frame for the Torrent. Well, Milwaukee's going to have to be extra careful as, of course, they're going to continue to push for at least one goal before this halftime whistle. But the Bisons have shown that they can get past this strong Torrent defense, playing the ball over the back line, putting on a lot of pressure, which earned them that third goal. But if the Torrent want a chance to win this game today, I do believe they're going to have to see themselves to at least one goal in this first half. Miletus now on this near side, plays this to Twombly. Miletus looks to play this in the box. Twombly, ball at her feet, now plays this in the middle. Ball back to Wilson. Wilson with a couple of touches, still on the ball. Ends up losing it in the end. Foul called against Wilson. some ways you could consider that a professional foul, as there were not many players in blue back in the defense for Milwaukee. Wilson slowing down the play with that foul. Lacey under heavy pressure, and after a few touches from the head, able to get that to Moyer, who gives it back to Lacey. Lacey to Miletus. Twombly. Twombly still on the ball. Lacey playing this back to Kelly Swenson. All the way across to Caitlin Owens. Up to LeConte. LeConte looking for an on-rushing Mickey Easter. Looks like we will have 1 minute of stoppage time. We're about 10 seconds away from that stoppage time. Bisons will take their time as Baji sets up this goal kick. Martinez Lagunas, head coach for the Bison, wanting their players to get a bit more compact in this final minute of play. Wanted to secure this 3-0 lead heading into the locker room at halftime. And Moyer doing her part to make sure that the Bisons can't move downfield. Manitoba with the throw. Mickey Easter, ball at her feet. Owens plays this up to Johnson. About 8 seconds left, according to our clock in the stadium. Looked like Torrent had about all 3 of their offensive players in an offside position, so even if they got a touch on that, it wouldn't matter. And that is your halftime whistle. So a bit of a surprise score here. In some ways a surprise, in some ways not. Bison's playing for spots on their team for the fall season, whereas today is a day of celebration, really, for the Torrent on the successful season they have had. However, tough to celebrate right now as the Torrent are down 3-0 to the Bisons. My friends, we're going to take a break during halftime. We will see you on the other side for the start of the second half. Don't go anywhere. This is Simon Provan with FC Milwaukee Torrent. Thanks for staying with us. Welcome back to second half action here at Hart Park as FC Milwaukee Torrent hosts the University of Manitoba Bisons in the first international club friendly for FC Milwaukee Torrent. And there is the kick for the second half. Manitoba up 3-0 over their hosts, FC Milwaukee Torrent. Manitoba in brown, Milwaukee in blue. Manitoba starts quickly with some high pressure trying to work their way in with some nice 1-2 play. Katie Swenson momentarily had other plans, but Manitoba gets the ball right back. Manitoba making their way towards the box. Ball sent in off of Katie Swenson's head. Bonnie Lacey gets a touch. Joe Riley on the ball for Milwaukee. Haley Johnson in the midfield for Milwaukee. Twombly started her run in an offside position. Well called by the near side AR. Quinlan Warren still in goal for Milwaukee. Looking for some redemption after that third goal in the first half, as she was unknowingly, it looked like, put under pressure. Lost the ball. Manitoba easily converting for that third goal. Quick rundown of the goals in the first half. Manitoba got one early in the 6th minute. Cavalcante with an assist from Mackie Birdney. And then Cavalcante would provide the assist in the 35th minute to Bianca Bucci, who got the second goal of the game. And Mackie Birdney, assist in the 6th minute, and then her own goal, as I had mentioned, putting Warren under expert pressure and getting her own goal in the 41st minute. Not an own goal, but getting a goal after getting an assist in the 6th minute. Just to clarify for anybody listening. Foul called in favor of the Torrent. Quickly played by Swenson. Up to Miletus. Miletus with a nice move. Miletus on the ground. With it being a friendly, referee blows the whistle right away, calling out the trainer, Paige Borst, to the field. If this was a regular season game, I imagine the referee would allow that play to go on, as he wasn't calling a foul on the play. But well done by the referee to keep control of the game and have health as the number one priority when it comes to a friendly. We certainly hope that Miletus perhaps took a minor knock and will be okay. Good to see Miletus getting up to her feet right away. A little bit of assistance coming off the field, a little bit of a limp. Now walking on her own free will. So again, perhaps a Charlie horse in the end. That's what we can hope for. As Ryan Locante takes the place of Alexa Miletus here on the right wing. Free drop ball to the Bisons, as they did have possession when the whistle was blown. If you are just joining us on this 11 Sports live stream, thank you for doing so. We are at Hart Park in Wauwatosa, Wisconsin. I'm Simon Provan on behalf of everyone here at FC Milwaukee Torrent. Thanks for joining us. Bisons have the lead in this club international friendly. They're up 3-0. We are in the 51st minute of play. Weather continues to be cloudy, but a very pleasant temperature, especially if you're one of those players out there, about 68 degrees. Wilson plays this to Johnson. Manitoba. Strong pressure there, but eventually called for the foul was Jaylene Cox. Ball sent to the far side. LeConte onside, but not able to get that ball as it just rolls over the end line for a Bison goal kick. Well, this is great to see. Alexa Miletus returning to the game. Ryan LeConte coming back to the bench. I'm sure we will see that substitution once again a little bit later. One of the things I certainly like that is being introduced in the MLS Next Pro program, any player who goes down with an injury has to sit out for a minimum of 3 minutes. And I got to tell you, I really hope that the global game adopts that rule. I think it'll help get rid of at least quite a bit of the feigning of injuries to kill time, waste time. Joe Rowley offside, easily called by the near side AR. But that, I think for many people who are big fans of the game, big supporters of the beautiful game, I think most of us will admit that that's one thing we absolutely cannot stand is the fake injuries, the time wasting, and making a player having to sit out for a minimum of 3 minutes without a replacement. I really hope that that could do wonders and get rid of a lot of the fake injuries. So we'll see what happens with the implementation, at least in one league in this country. '54th minute of play. On the bench for the Torrent is Mickey Easter. Spent a lot of time up top in that first half. Also Caitlin Owens. And the aforementioned Ryan LeConte. Bisons with an opportunity here. Can Kelly Swenson do something about it? Yes, she can. Gets in between her goalkeeper and Bianca Bucci. Quinlan Warren eventually grabbing that ball off the turf. Sends this downfield. Elsie Twombly. Shoulder-to-shoulder play in the middle of the field, and now a foul against Johnson in favor of the Torrent. This ball played to Wilson. Miletus sends this one in the middle. Strong defensive play once again by Manitoba. This ball on the far side now. Solaric allows that one to run over the touchline for a Torrent throw-in. Katie Swenson sends this one to Haley Johnson, but instead finds the hands of Corinna Baji, goalkeeper for Manitoba. Quite a few players missing for the Torrent today. Players like Liz Beckers, Rebecca Payo, Lainey Higgins, Shannon McWilliams, who was one of the perennial starters for the Torrent in the back line. So Torrent with a good mix of bench players and some starters out there during the regular season. And you can see it has affected them in some ways. But also good to see some players who perhaps did not get a lot of time during the regular season get close to a full game here today. Haley Johnson with a nice win. Oh, slip by Kelly Swenson. Ball bounces off the post. Opportunity for Manitoba. Saved off the line by Katie Swenson. Bit of a wild play there, and Manitoba still in possession. Shot with her right foot now over the end line. Finally, the Torrent can breathe a sigh of relief as they get a goal kick, which Quinlan Warren will set up for. Torrent trying to find some rhythm as they've been very disjointed here in the second half. Opportunity here for the Torrent, but once again, Baji showing great skill as that 6-foot goalkeeper out of British Columbia continues to press for a shutout. Well, I've referenced him several times. Nice play there by Jordan Rowley. Well, let's go ahead and bring Kevin O'Connor on air. Kevin.
Simon.
Welcome. I'd say welcome to the broadcast, but you're the one who makes sure the broadcasts happen. So welcome to the air.
Well, don't forget, I did do one game by myself.
You did,
like all three positions. So,
yeah, that was it was actually quite incredible. So I couldn't be here. Ben couldn't be here for the camera, and
no, Ben was here for the camera. It was just me and Ben. It was me, Ben, and my wife, and that was pretty much it up here. Oh, sorry. I thought I had it hot enough. Anyways, yeah. So this is look, as I'm watching this game, you can just see the cohesiveness of this Manitoba team. You know, that's the difference between a college team that's been playing together for years, especially at the beginning of a season. They haven't even started yet. And a team that's kind of brought together on a yearly basis. So especially, a team that doesn't, the players that are on the field now don't really play together a whole often.
Right, when we're talking about the Torrent, exactly. And again too, I mean, it's something I've said since the pregame, that the difference between a team who has already ended their season is really looking at today as just a day to celebrate the season that was, versus playing against a team in which opportunity here for the Torrent. Again, Baji bobbles it, but gets enough of a hand on there to shut down the Torrent attack. But versus players on this Manitoba team that they are hungry to show their head coach what they've got, possibly being starters for this upcoming fall season.
Yeah, you can see that fire in their eyes, and I've really been impressed with Cavalcante up on the front there. And they've had a really strong back line here, too. And their goalie's been stupendous.
And, I do like to... when it comes to WPSL teams and NPSL teams, we struggle mightily when it comes to trying to get rosters and starters. So I always like to give a shout out to teams when they're very willing to give us that information. Opportunity here for Milwaukee. No trouble for Baji in the end as that bounces out of bounds for a goal kick. And, I just want to give a quick shout out to Vanessa Martinez Luganos, obviously a great head coach for Manitoba, but also great with communication, sending me the roster ahead of time within minutes of my email. And it makes these calls so much more enjoyable when I already can spend some time getting to know these players a little bit more. And it kind of motivates you too to have even a better call because you want to honor their graciousness with their information.
Yeah, and they brought everybody with them. I was surprised. They have 3 trainers with them. They have several assistant coaches as well.
Joe Raleigh called offside there. That's been one thing that has surprised me today is the number of offside calls against the Torrent. Now, Manitoba obviously doing a great job organizing their back line, but one thing the Torrent was known for in the regular season is being able to keep an eye on that line and spring those opportunities rather than get caught in those offside traps.
I was just thinking the exact same thing. It's probably the most offsides calls I've seen this season with the Torrent here.
So give us your thoughts on the season, Kevin. Torrent with their first title in their 4 years of existence, 3 seasons. Obviously, one season was shut down because of the pandemic, but 3 seasons overall in their first Great Lakes or Lake Michigan region title.
Yeah, I mean, you saw flashes of this team last year, especially the women's side certainly. That they're going to do something special, and it really took, I think, just a few key pieces, and one of those I think was Mickey Easter in the goal this year. Gosh, I think up until about halfway through the season, I don't think she'd given up a goal, or if that, she'd given up maybe 1 goal. So, kudos to that back line of Kelly Swenson, who's been our perennial captain.
Yes.
Shannon McWilliams and Bonnie Lacey on the other side, just, that steadiness of that back line.
Yeah, Mickey Easter, a red shirt freshman at Marquette. Not only a revelation for the Torrent, but for sure a revelation for Marquette University as well. And she's got, 4 years at that school. I guess 3 more left. So Marquette certainly is, no pun intended, in good hands with their goalkeeping crew.
You and the dad jokes.
Twombly. Called offside. I'm going to have to say I have to question that one a bit because the center back for the Bisons intentionally looked to play that ball. Well, intentionally did play that ball, which for some ARs, it is a judgment call in the end, but they may have allowed that play to continue since a defender looked to play that ball back.
Yeah, that was looking at the replay right now, that's close. The beauty of having a live stream, we can see about 25 seconds after the play and see whether we are right.
Well, speaking of the live stream, Kevin, I got to thank you again. You have invested quite a bit of your own money and your own equipment to bring this live stream, which was already a great experience last year, to a whole nother level this year. So thanks for your creativity, your time, and making sure that every single game experience with anything that was in our control, you brought it to a T. So
certainly when you look at a team like Kansas City that couldn't even live stream a regional playoff, certainly disappointing for us Torrent fans. It's fun. This is fun for me. As I've said, we're not getting rich doing this. We do this because we enjoy it. Enjoy spending time with yourself and the other folks that we bring on here. It's just a lot of fun. We have great cameraman Ben Sturridge, who's been helping out all year. He hasn't missed a game. He's been awesome.
And he does it purely voluntarily. Yeah. He gets nothing for it.
I did allow him to get paid last night, so that's all he gets.
That's right. Of course, Dylan Dooley doing double duties. That's a lot of alliteration right there. Being our PA guy most of the season, as well as our second cameraman.
Yep.
That was very impressive. And then, of course, Dan Pfeiffer, our original PA announcer, filling in for a few games this season as well. And by the way, Dylan, if you are tuning in, hope you're having a great time, whatever it is that you're doing. We know you're out of town as well, and vacation time for you.
Yeah, certainly what we try to do is, we look back several years kind of pre-pandemic. Maybe not the best live stream, but we still were able to provide it. But again, thanks to Andy Davi for really investing in some good equipment. It's not cheap. I mean, we're talking thousands of dollars
Absolutely.
here that Andy has dumped into our live stream, and it's really shown.
Ball in the box for the Bison. Miletus, nice flick of the heel, showing some of her great skill that we saw all season. And eventually ball goes out of bounds. Torrent wanting a foul call there, but that was shoulder to shoulder.
I think that was the right call.
Absolutely.
Certainly a shove there from Miletus at the end. Yeah.
66th minute of play, almost 67th minute. Bonnie Lacey with the header. Goes back to Kelly Swenson. Mickey Easter back in the game. I'm not even sure when that sub happened, but she's
just
now?
Just now. Yep.
Okay. So Mickey Easter wearing the jersey of Balsaric, number 21, but don't be fooled. That is your starting goalkeeper for the Torrent and your starting goalkeeper for Marquette University, playing up top in this club international friendly here at Hart Park. I'm being joined by Kevin O'Connor, our live stream producer, who we are so thankful to have with us. Of course, the men, they had a tough year, but a lot of changeover, including head coach Steve Provan taking the reins for the very first time with a much different squad than we saw last year under Cacho Cordoba.
Yeah, I mean, certainly you look at the caliber of players, not to say that this year's team wasn't any better, but, certainly you had a lot of really, really good players last year, and that showed, right? And a little more, some cohesiveness there with
opportunity for Milwaukee, shot just over the crossbar. I believe that was Joe Raleigh.
Yep.
But yeah, a good turnover, and we did see that on the field. I was actually talking to Andy Davi, and he had said, consider this year a rebuilding year. Mm-hmm. You had all these South American players up here last year that weren't able to stay up here. And so a whole different team, really, when it gets down to it. Substitution, by the way, for Manitoba. It looks like Mackie Birdney, who's been very active today, is actually my apologies. Mackie Birdney is the one returning to the field. Coming off the field was number 32, Jordan Sistarelli. Easy for me to say, right?
Yeah, you're not Italian, unfortunately.
I got to say it more like Sistarelli. Now I get it, huh?
I've been watching The Sopranos. I feel like I can say that name now.
Ball sent down the field. Katie Swenson, I did want to talk about her for a bit. Not Kelly Swenson, her older sister, but Katie Swenson.
Fellow Warhawk.
Fellow Warhawk, that's right. But to me, seeing her skill out here all year long, really, I know she hasn't been a starter, but anytime she has stepped on this field, it's almost shocking to me that she is a Division III player.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing as well. Certainly that level. I'm not sure. I don't follow whitewater soccer, but certainly with the skills that she has, you wonder if at some point in time she's going to transfer up a division or two. Yeah,
or maybe she really looks at school as not necessarily about soccer, but that soccer is supporting the education. And with having played and started every single game as a freshman, you may not want to leave that atmosphere.
No.
Opportunity once again for the Bisons. Shot on goal. Quinlan Warren able to grab that one as Sydney Tuck, sophomore, got a shot off on goal for the Bisons.
I was reading a book lately. It's talking about being a big fish or a little fish, right? So being a big fish in a little sea or a little fish in a big sea.
Yeah.
Certainly what do you want to be? to your point, maybe being the big fish in a little sea will give her more opportunities than going to maybe a Division I school where there's much more competition.
Speaking of Katie Swenson, she sends this ball in. Baji picks it up off the ground, off the bounce. No worries for the Bisons in the end. Yeah, it's interesting you say that. I can share a personal story that my youngest daughter, she's a freshman in high school. Well, she'll be going into her sophomore year now. But when it came to soccer for her, she was a bit disappointed for not making varsity. Goal kick for Milwaukee. But in the end, she was very glad that she ended up playing JV because she played every single game, started every single game, ended up being a leader on the team. Whereas if she was up on the varsity team, she probably would have spent a good deal of time on the bench. And you're going to develop, obviously, much better as a player when you're playing more often. But being able to have that opportunity to build those leadership skills as well, it's priceless when it gets down to it. So it really is looking at each opportunity at what can I gain out of this?
Exactly.
One of my favorite sayings is sometimes the grass is greener on the other side because there's a lot more manure over there.
Right. Absolutely.
Little bit of wisdom and philosophy for you on this final live stream from Hart Park this year.
Well, you can't say that you didn't learn anything.
Kelly Swenson now plays this all the way back to Warren.
If I had the more you know graphic, I could splash that across the screen right now. But
I'm only mildly disappointed that you weren't ready for that, Kevin. Of course, in our case, you could say sometimes the grass is greener on the other side simply because it's artificial turf.
Right. And as you were mentioning earlier in the game, this is a fairly new surface still. This is I think it's got installed last year.
I think you're right. Yeah,
so last year
summer.
was the first year. Certainly a little confusing when you're looking out there, but we're on the yellow lines. Give lacrosse, girls lacrosse, field hockey.
Ultimate Frisbee,
which I think they use the lacrosse lines, actually.
Okay, fair enough. But there is a difference between boys lacrosse and girls lacrosse,
yes.
So you do have those.
Yep.
And, of course, American football lines out there. Field hockey as well.
I did mention field hockey.
You did, all right. Opportunity for Milwaukee. Shot on goal goes right into the hands of Baji. Elsie Twombly waiting to come into the game for the Torrent.
Yeah, not sure you're going to get some goals from hitting from outside the box, but
yeah, very strong goalkeeper. I can see why she is the starter for Manitoba. A player you had mentioned, Bianca Cavalcante. She's the leading goal scorer for this Manitoba Bisons team. She's out of Brazil, and you can certainly see the Brazilian influence in her play. She got things started early for the Bisons with a goal in the 6th minute. Nice run by Mickey Easter. Beautifully played ball by Haley Johnson on top of it. Easter does have Raleigh if she can get her. Not able to get her body fully turned. Over the crossbar, goal kick for Milwaukee. You know, you do got to feel as Jordan Raleigh comes off the field for Twombly. You got to feel for Steve Provan today as, this women's team has been so strong this year. And then the one day he's given to take over the reins, he's missing half the starters.
Yeah.
Only has 3 substitutes. Backup goalkeeper in goal, Mickey Easter, who hasn't seen the field as far as the outfield at all season because she's the starting goalkeeper.
Yeah, playing forward.
Playing forward.
She's done a nice job. A few offside calls on her, but
that was a great example of actually that exemplifies how Easter with the opportunity. No handball called. It bounced up. Referee deemed the arm was within her natural frame. Play continues. Now Tyler Wilson going to be given a yellow card. Persistent infringement would be my guess for Tyler Wilson. That foul itself probably would not ordinarily be given a yellow card all on its own, but that's about the 3rd or 4th foul now we've seen in a similar fashion where Tyler Wilson's committing that so-called professional foul.
Yeah, grabbed her from behind and tried to throw it on.
Yeah, a little bit of a NFL move there, if you will. Haley Johnson on the ball, plays this out to LeConte. Much better defensively from the Torrent this half. Haven't allowed a goal yet. We're in the 75th minute.
Well, and to be fair, two of those goals were just, unfortunately, Quinlan Warren just not being on the right line. That first goal certainly just got caught out of position, and I think it was the third goal that, man, you got to play that ball better. If you're going to play it, play it. There was a bit of a hesitation there, and unfortunately let that ball get by her.
Yeah, seemed to be unaware of the pressure that was coming from the side of her. Mickey Easter. Oh, that was a kick to the chest, maybe the face. Very dangerous kick. I didn't catch who it was. Looking back here on the stream. So Easter wins the ball off of a slide tackle, then runs back up to it.
12.
That was number 12, Mackie Birdney, with the very dangerous high kick. Easter seems to be doing okay, thank goodness. But I got to say, Kevin, I know it's a friendly, but I'm surprised that was not a yellow card.
Yeah. It's definitely a dangerous play there. Like you mentioned, certainly for a friendly, you'd like to see a little better thought process there.
Bonnie Lacey and Alexa Miletus returning to the field for Milwaukee, as well as Brianna Johnston for the Bisons. So this will be a drop kick for Milwaukee. Ball is played. LeConte getting in early in the box. Baji pushes the ball over the end line, corner kick for Milwaukee.
Yeah, from my angle, that wasn't even going to go in, so.
But going back to that high kick, I promise I'm not saying another opportunity for Milwaukee. They are looking for at least that first goal. You almost get the sense, Kevin, that if Milwaukee can get one, the floodgates are just going to open. A lot of times through the season, what we saw was a team that sometimes almost didn't believe in themselves, but as soon as they'd get that first goal, there would be this reaction throughout the team of, oh yeah, this is who we are.
Yeah, I mean, certainly we talked with Andy Davi yesterday about that. And, certainly moving to a different formation this year certainly cut down on the number of goals that they had, but certainly, again, when you have talented women up front like Elsie Twombly and Jordan Raleigh and
Haley Johnson,
thank you. Certainly goals can come at any moment in time. I've always been really impressed with Elsie Twombly's speed.
Her soccer IQ, too.
Yeah.
She knows, a lot of the goals that she scored were not coming off of with the ball at her feet. They were her finding the perfect spot to get into so the ball could be served to her.
Right place, right time, absolutely.
Another corner kick for Milwaukee. Can they make this one count as we're in the 79th minute of play? This ball sent to the 6. Jordan Raleigh with a head. But once again, Baji just too quick to that ball for Milwaukee to be able to have a second effort.
That ball was touched on the way over to Baji. I don't know. I'm looking now to see who got a hand on that.
Ryan LeConte with some nice movement of the ball. Plays it to Johnson. Johnson all the way across the field to Bonnie Lacey. Lacey plays this up to Wilson.
Almost looked like it went off a Torrent player. Right between a Torrent and a Bison player. Before trickling over there to Baji in goal. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what group comes back next year. Certainly this is just the way it is with both the men's side and the MPSL side, and the women's side and the WPSL side, you got to imagine, there might be some recruiting from other teams or even, from teams like, look at Haley Johnson. Haley Johnson played for the Chicago Red Star reserve team, who's no longer have a reserve team. However, there are teams like Kansas City who do have a reserve team.
Absolutely.
So somebody like an Elsie Twombly or, could move over there if they have a chance to become, work with a professional team.
Well, it's only fitting that here in the 81st minute, Kevin, while you and I are on the air together, that we get another Hart Park train coming through. We actually haven't had as many of those this year like we usually would.
No. Sponsored by Canadian Pacific.
That's right. Very fitting as we have the University of Manitoba here today. Nice nutmeg by Locante. Plays it to Raleigh. Nice sliding tackle in return from Brittany Blunderfield of Manitoba, sending that over the end line for another Torrent corner kick. Locante on the corner. 81st minute of play. Bisons up 3-0. Can the Torrent get at least one? That was a nice played ball, but nobody there for Milwaukee. That ball then misplayed as it goes way over the crossbar.
Unfortunately, through the American football goal, does not count.
Does not. It would tie up the game if it did, but
it would.
Speaking of which, Bisons lead 3-0. Slower pace in the second half for sure.
Yet the Torrent have controlled the ball for most of this half. Very few chances here over on the Bison end of the field. But with a 3-0 lead, that's to be expected.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I know this is the only game we've watched from University of Manitoba, but if you are a student at the school, if you are just a fan of the Bisons, I do believe you got a good team on your hands.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
If you are a student at University of Manitoba, get out for these games because you got some very exciting players to watch for the Bisons.
Really like to see the Torrent here get one at least.
It would be fitting.
Get this crowd pumped up a little bit. Great crowd here today, actually.
Yeah, I had mentioned earlier about 100 people, and as you and I walked through the stands at halftime, I think you pointed out correctly, there may be just a tad bit more than that.
A lot of young kids, which is great to see, exposing them to the great game of soccer or football.
T-Man out there at halftime playing goalie so these young kids could take some shots on goal. And, we credit everybody here for their great support. But all these flags you see, all the banners you see, T-Man, who leads the flood, gets here 2 or 3 hours early before each game to decorate this place with everything.
I'm usually here about 2 hours before each game, and he's here before me. So
yes.
He's just a great asset and just a great guy in general. I miss the face paint, though.
Jordan Raleigh in a foot race with Baji. Baji's going to win that one. But great to see, even here in the 84th minute, you got players like Jordan Raleigh still giving it 100%, hoping to get at least one goal. Don't want to finish the season with a shutout loss, even if it is a friendly. Twombly goes down. Play continues. Tyler Wilson considered offside. Well done by the center referee, as I believe he's going to bring this ball back for the foul that was committed against Twombly. No advantage, obviously, came from that play. I mention this a lot, but I feel like I can't say it enough that some people, many soccer fans even, don't realize that one of the points of emphasis with FIFA this year and with U.S. Soccer is to allow play to continue after a foul occurs so that the referee doesn't have to make a quick decision on whether to allow advantage to play or not. They're encouraged to let the play go for 4 or 5 seconds, and if it turns out that nothing came by a supposed advantage call to then pull the ball back to where the foul occurred, and that's exactly what we saw here. Shot on goal. Johnson waving her hands in the air of, like, why not? And apparently it was a deflection, and we have a corner kick for Milwaukee.
Let me see where that caromed off of here.
Ball served in by LeConte. And now Bison's looking for that counterattack. Kelly Swenson, can she get there? Yes, she does. Played really well, and then wins the ball after being fouled by Camilla Goldstein. But Swenson, my goodness, looked like she was going to lose that foot race. Then at the last second, all of a sudden just turned on an extra gear and ended up winning that ball. That's the Kelly Swenson we've been used to all season long. High pressure here from Easter. Mickey Easter jumping up and down on her tippy toes, really wanting to get that goal. After the great year that she had in goal, it would be very deserving for her to get one here today. Torrent wanting a corner kick call on that, but it is indeed a goal kick for the University of Manitoba. Whether you are joining us from Milwaukee, from Manitoba, Canada, from Russia or Brazil, as we've got players represented from those countries, we again thank you for tuning in today. This great stream produced by the man who's on the air with me right now, Kevin O'Connor.
Easy work, Simon. Easy work.
Only because you make it look easy. Wilson, near side of the box, plays this on the ground, and eventually sent over the end line for yet another Milwaukee Torrent corner kick. This has got to be the 10th or 11th corner kick, maybe more, for Milwaukee. That played on the ground. Hate to say it, but a wasted opportunity on that.
Yeah, thinking back on the season, if I were to say one weak area that the Torrent did have this season was on corners. Just it seemed like there was many opportunities off of corner kicks. I can count maybe one or two goals that they had this season that were off a corner, and one I can think of is probably Elsie Twombly. I think had one. I don't remember what game, but certainly just some missed opportunities there.
Mickey Easter going in hard at Baji, showing the intensity of Mickey Easter wanting to get that goal, but certainly you don't want to see Baji injured either.
Is that the goalie mentality, right?
Absolutely it is.
Right? Just her tenacity for going after the ball here.
Owens with a face injury. I think she may have caught an errant elbow to her cheek. Caitlin immediately grabbed her face after that play. Seems to be okay. This ball played to LeConte. LeConte trying to get to this ball before it goes over the end line. She's able to get there. Now plays it back. Is this a goal kick or a corner kick? I'm not sure which player it went off of. It is a corner for Milwaukee now in the 89th minute of play. LeConte standing over this ball. You'd certainly like to see almost everybody in. Nothing to lose at this point if you're the Torrent. LeConte sends this to the 6. Jordan Rowley gets a touch on it. Ball still alive in the box. Bonnie Lacey sending this across field. LeConte able to keep it in.
That's a great play by LeConte.
Absolutely. Nice acrobatic move. And now earns a throw-in right near the corner for Milwaukee. Owens. Throw-in once again for Milwaukee. Now into the 90th minute of play. Not sure if we'll see much stoppage, if any, considering this is a friendly. I think maybe we'll get a minute of stoppage, if anything.
I mean, we did have a few injuries, but again, this is a friendly.
Haley Johnson sends this in. Opportunity. Miletus not able to get there. Now Bonnie Lacey heads this in. Bison all in the box. Kelly Swenson, heavy touch, but able to send this across the field. Miletus can't touch it. She was in an offside position. So Bonnie Lacey making the run down the field. This ball sent forward. On it for the Bison is Paris Sidhu. Sidhu pulling the ball back, waiting for reinforcements. A bit misplayed there from Shannon Lee. Shannon Lee, one of the many freshmen out there today, out of Mendota Heights. And that will do it as the game ends at 90 minutes. And as you might hear Dan Pfeiffer in the background mentioning, final score today, University of Manitoba Bisons 3, the home team FC Milwaukee Torrent 0. And that brings us to the end of this international club friendly, the first of its kind here for FC Milwaukee Torrent and Hart Park. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back and say our well wishes on the end of 2022. So stay with us. We'll be back on the other side of this break. Welcome back to the live stream of FC Milwaukee Torrent hosting University of Manitoba Bisons. Final score today, Bisons claimed the victory with a 3-0 scoreline. All 3 goals coming in the first half. Early on, it was in the 6th minute at Cavalante. Got a great assist from, just double checking here, Mackie Birdney. Want to make sure I get the names correct. Cavalante